We have two wonderful speakers tonight from LA Animal Services. We have Certified Animal Control Officer Lois Westfall. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. And we have Animal Control Officer Shepard here. They're both wildlife specialists, and they are both part of the elite Special Mobilized Animal Rescue Team, which is also known as the SMART team. We've seen a lot of posts on social media and a lot of misinformation and conflicting information going around, mostly about coyotes this time of year and coyotes coming into the flatlands. But there's also, I just was looking at a post today about a baby raccoon, and there's just a lot of, like I said, information and advice that's floating around. So we really wanted to invite you to come and sort of set the record straight and just give us the facts and help us out. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Okay, well, I'm Officer Westfall. I've been with the department 8 years now as an officer, and I am one of the wildlife specialists. We do, just as an FYI, have a lot of useful information on our website, which is laanimalservices.com. And there's a whole section there on wildlife specific to the different wildlife that you might encounter in your own backyard and in your area. We do have a brief video that we'd like to show to you. Officer Shepard, if you'd like to just introduce yourself, and then maybe we'll show the video and then we can open it up for questions.
I'm Officer Shepard. I'm an officer with LA Animal Services. I've been with the city for about 15 years. Prior to that, my background was in veterinary medicine. So I pretty much always worked with animals. As you mentioned, I'm a member of the SMART team, but in particular lately, we've been able to focus on wildlife and public education. So the video is a good tool, but also we have a wildlife email that we can offer. What I found is with constituents that have particular concerns, just a short conversation and offering them some resources goes a long way in settling concerns, providing actual factual information, and then also if they spread it to their neighbors, it seems to kind of put out the fire many times. So thanks for having us.
You see it?
Hi, I'm Officer Shepard with the City of Los Angeles Animal Services, and I'm here today to discuss wildlife. LA Animal Services is here to assist residents with some of the concerns and problems they face concerning wildlife in the city. LA Animal Services is committed to helping residents safely coexist with wildlife. Trapping and relocation is not the answer and is not supported by Animal Services. We're going to show you ways that you may be inadvertently training wildlife to use your home as their home. Feeding wildlife is illegal. If you have a wildlife problem in your neighborhood and believe it is the result of someone illegally feeding wildlife, please report this to your local shelter. Some of the things that you may be providing wildlife without realizing it include food, water, and shelter. It is very important to pick up fallen fruit, secure trash cans, and ensure that there is no food or water sources available to attract wildlife to your yard. Sources of water can include swimming pools, bird baths, ponds, water that is left out for pets. In addition, you should consider any areas of your yard that would make attractive dens. These would include areas under deckings, your attic, and the crawl space under your house. Securing those will ensure that they do not inadvertently become a den for native wildlife. Leaving food out for family pets is also an invitation for wildlife. It's important that you keep your pets inside, do not leave food out, and secure any pet doors at night. all wildlife serves a purpose. Communities that have attempted to reduce the numbers of wildlife, such as capturing or killing coyotes, have learned this the hard way. Reducing the number of coyotes will increase the number of rodents, including rats, which have been shown to cause disease. Reducing the number of coyotes by trapping, relocating, or killing them will actually cause the coyotes to have larger litters. Trapping and relocation of wildlife has been shown to be harmful to the environment and also to the wildlife. Taking an animal from one neighborhood to another, they do not know where food, water, and shelter sources are. The wildlife that are already there will defend their territory. Wild animal attacks on humans are extremely rare, and in most cases, these are a result of the animals losing their natural fear of humans.
Hey baby, you need something?
One of the ways this can happen is by inadvertently feeding wildlife. Many of the complaints that we receive involve interactions between coyotes and people's pets. There are many things that you can do to ensure the safety of your pets, such as making sure that your pets are inside at night, walking them securely on a leash, and making sure that the attractions in your yard are removed. LA Animal Services is tracking and recording the activities of coyotes in the city of Los Angeles. In order to report a sighting or interaction, please call your local shelter or call 311 to be routed to the shelter nearest you. LA Animal Services does assist with orphaned, sick, or injured wildlife. If you do encounter sick or injured wildlife, you may contact your local shelter at 888-452-7381. You can also be put through to the closest shelter by calling 311 or using the app on your mobile phone. The City of Los Angeles does not own or control any of the wildlife located in the city, and we are not responsible for any damages caused by them. There are no laws, mandates, or policy requiring the City of Los Angeles to trap, remove, or relocate animals. And in fact, in most cases, state law would prohibit us from doing so. The further that we push into the natural habitat of wild animals, the more responsible that we are for their behavior. One of the benefits of living in our beautiful city is the opportunity to see wildlife on an almost daily basis. Animal Services is committed to assisting you live safely with wildlife. Contact your local shelter, visit our website, or attend one of our wildlife workshops for more information.
That's a great
Okay,
video.
so that's a little bit about what we do, through the shelters. We do interfere. We will respond to sick, injured, orphaned wildlife. Coyotes are into all our neighborhoods, and like the video was showing, and like Officer Shepard said in the video, you have a responsibility to secure your area as well as you can, meaning making sure that your trash is covered, that you're not leaving out cat food and water sources, dog food, things like that at night that will bring them into your yard. The coyotes are very beneficial for keeping down that rodent population. If there's anyone in your neighborhood feeding wildlife, it's definitely something that we will go out and look into further. And we approach it from an aspect of education. We want compliance, and we want to explain to people why it's wrong, and go from there. Yeah, and you did mention the email address, and that email address is ANI, like animal, ANI.wildlife@lacity.org. So if there's any specific questions or problems, feel free to reach out to us. And both Officer Shepherd and I check that email daily. So someone will be checking it and responding to any specific issues you have. The only other thing is that it didn't go into hazing at all, or at least not much in that video. Hazing is a form of empowering each and every one of you. Our goal is to keep coyotes and wildlife wild. So calling out to them, hey baby, like you saw in that video, just kind of encourages them to be less fearful of humans. You want the coyote to be fearful of you. Coyote are very curious. And if they see you out there walking your dog, they might follow because they see another canine, and they are very opportunistic. If they get the opportunity to snag your little pet, they will do that. So when you're walking your dog, be sure that you're engaged with your dog. You've got a solid leash, 6 feet or less. You're paying attention to your dog. You're not on your phone catching up with your friends. You're active and protecting your pet. A coyote approach, clap your hands, stamp your feet, clap, yell. You want to scare them away. You want to keep them wild. That is the goal.
So is there a difference when you are walking and you're confronted by 1 or 2 versus 3 or more? Because is there a pack mentality with coyotes that we should, as humans, should be worried about?
Think of it as like training dogs. So basically every time that anybody sees those coyotes, you want to make some type of disturbance. So you want to make some noise. You want to honk your horn. You want to throw something. So basically we're training the coyotes that when they see people, that they should leave the area and go the opposite direction. So I know a lot of times people will call and say, hey, there's coyotes napping on my neighbor's front lawn in broad daylight. If the neighbor were to go out and turn the sprinklers on, make some noise, the coyotes would get the message that they shouldn't be quite so comfortable around humans. And that's our goal, so that we can coexist safely.
I have a question about overpopulation. Are we close to a point of overpopulation? Or I'm sensing no, but if we did get to that point, would the city step in or the county step in and do something?
So I think it mentions in the video, they have actually done studies that when they start trapping and relocating coyotes, that nature tries to keep a balance, and that actually will increase the number of pups in the litter. So places that have tried to eradicate coyotes suddenly had an influx of rodents or of rabbits. So it's nature, and it creates a balance. And when you create a vacuum, other things will fill that. So our traditional approach has been to not attempt to remove them because it leads to negative consequences.
I have a question. You see all sorts of comments about how high coyotes can jump, and they're being seen in people's backyard. And some people say it's just 6 feet easily, even with coyote rollers. Some people say 8 feet. Some people say 10 feet. Some people say, higher. I recognize it's probably not a set amount of feet, but in general, how high might they scale a wall?
Just because I can say that I was chasing an injured coyote one day with 3 feet. I chased him into the yard and thought, okay, I got him now. Gonna get him, get him to a vet, get him some help. He jumped an 8-foot fence from a standstill with 3 legs. So I'm telling you, they are very agile and very athletic. And of course it varies, as they age, maybe they can't jump quite as high. But yeah, the coyote rollers that you mentioned can be helpful if you have a confined yard, to keep them out, and also to keep your dog in. If you have a dog that's a jumper and is getting out of your yard, those coyote rollers can be great for that. There is another video on our website, which is the laanimalservices.com, specifically on coyotes and hazing. There's some good ideas there, different tools that you can use when you're walking your dog, and things to keep in your yard. Like the sprinklers going off, there's motion activated sprinklers, motion activated lights and sound, and all kinds of things. Even something as simple as a transistor radio put on a talk radio station. If you have an area on your yard or under your decking or somewhere where they're hanging out, putting on something like that and making noise all the time will just make that animal uncomfortable, so he'll want to go somewhere else where it's quieter. I'm not sure that the population has increased either, unless you get into an area where maybe someone is maintaining a cat colony, where you've got food for the cats. That will attract not only the cats, but the coyotes, and then the cats themselves will attract the coyotes too as an easy food source. So if that's something new in the neighborhood, that may be increasing the numbers. Coyotes are very successful. They've moved from coast to coast, and they're in every neighborhood, every state, everywhere in America that we know of. And in fact, one of the most successful populations is in downtown Chicago, where you wouldn't think you'd find coyotes, but they did a large study, a Cook County study. If you're interested, you can go online and look at that. They have some very interesting videos of the coyotes moving through the downtown area, and most people don't even realize they're there. They're, at a bus stop or whatever. And those coyotes are so smart. I swear they look up and see that it's a green light, and that's when they're going to cross the corner. It's amazing how intelligent they can be. But they are just like your pet dogs. They are trainable. And that's why the hazing has been successful in keeping them out of areas. But it takes a village. It takes all your neighbors and everybody hazing that coyote and getting them to move on to other areas. So again, reach out to us by email, check out the website, check out the videos there, and be happy to come out if you have more specific problems with denning or other things, or someone feeding wildlife.
That leads me to a question. With the incredible heat we had last week, some people on Nextdoor who love coyotes and some hate coyotes, but there was a post about setting out water for them because it's so hot. And there were people that said, well, just set out water, they're animals. And some people said it's illegal to feed or water wildlife. So there was a lot of back and forth. And so I thought I would just ask you, what are your thoughts on leaving water out on those, triple digit heat days?
Well, it is against the law to feed wildlife. We don't have an ordinance that I know of regarding leaving out water. Is there anything about that, Officer Shepherd?
There's not an ordinance that I know of. However, anytime you create an artificial environment, you're encouraging wildlife to create artificial habits. And then that's when we run into issues with, well, I put out water and now, the raccoons are coming and they're fighting with my cat and this and that. So wildlife are by nature extremely resourceful, and there are many natural and, accidental water sources that don't require homeowners to leave water close to their homes.
No, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming. Would love to have you back, because there are other creatures that we are hearing about, like bats and raccoons and voles and moles and gophers and hawks. And there's a lot of wildlife in Sherman Oaks, and there are 2 or 3 posts, I think, for each creature that's out there. So we would love to invite you back, maybe as part of a series on wildlife in Sherman Oaks. But I do have these, I will look up the link for the coyotes, and is it okay if I post it on our Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council Public Safety Committee YouTube page?
That should be fine.
Okay, it's just so we direct people there, and then eventually to your website too, because it's such a great website.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.